name is Dr. Maria Boyle. Don't get a lot of opportunity to use the doctor part. I'm originally from Donegal. I now live in Dublin. And I did my PhD in the RCSI many years ago. And then I moved away into the wonderful world of postdocing, and I came back to the RCSI to work in microbiology. So I am what's called a translational researcher. So that means that I take ideas that people have and I try to apply them to the real world and see whether or not they work. And those are the questions that I answer. So the area of interest I have is health and hygiene. And a lot of the work that I've done is been in and around that area, but usually taking in different aspects of chemistry and physics and engineering and whatever else they want me to test. My interest in art and cartooning came from a lonely childhood. Okay, I'm kidding. I loved drawing. As when I was a kid, I loved drawing. The whole cartooning thing came out quite accidentally, and some of it came out of a conversation that I had actually about when I was younger and using cartooning for company, and the fact, or like just drawing for company, because I've always drawn. But when I was older, so much older, I had an interest in comedy. So I used to have like a fairly popular Twitter account that I wrote sort of jokes and observations and things on, and I had a brief stint with doing stand-up, which, you know, if you ever want to become a better public speaker, I don't know if I'm proving it right now, but doing stand-up and having to deliver information to people who don't necessarily want it is a really good way to start. So I ended up quite accidentally marrying the fact that I was writing jokes with the fact that I like to draw, and it was all an accident. I remember like the first cartoon that I drew was, I think I drew a picture of a squirrel and in a business suit, and I think I wrote business squirrel doesn't remember when he stopped giving up on his dream of an astronaut or something silly like that. And then it sort of progressed from there. Like there was never a plan that I would get into cartooning. I just was drawing these things, and then they became a separate account away from the first Twitter account, and now that's my primary thing. So I would love to say that I've had like a major plan. I've had a really big plan about this. I haven't, which is pretty much what my life has been like, to be honest. So I guess humor is, and I know this is unhealthy because my counselor told me so. Humor is how I deal with the world. And she said to me, she was like, you know, this is a defense mechanism. And I was like, yes, I am very aware that it's a defense mechanism. So it's just, I like comedy, and it's how I process the world. It's like if bad things happen to you, if you can make a joke about them, then it gives you a little bit of control. So like a lot of the things that I do have been observational, and because I work in science and work in labs and stuff, then, you know, some of it's been about science. Like it's, my work doesn't have a particular genre. Because I do stuff about science, and I've done stuff about parenting, I've done stuff about being Irish and cats and different things. So I don't have a particular genre, but I'm, I guess, best known within certain circles as somebody who draws science cartoons. A few years ago, I was approached to do work for Science Foundation Ireland for Science Week, and they basically gave me a brief of, they wanted cartoons about Irish research, and they gave me like a blank canvas. I could do whatever I wanted about that, and I did. And it was, when I'm doing work for people, the thing I love best is that where they give me an idea and they let me do what I want. And I think one of the things that people don't realize is I get approached as an illustrator sometimes for work, and they don't understand that they're not really, I'm not a very good artist. Like, I'm not very good, you know, you're not getting photorealism, you're getting kind of weirdly shaped people from me, but I also write the joke that goes with it. I write the copy, so they let me do this. And one of the cartoons that I did was this kind of joke about Dwayne Johnson, who's The Rock, and the fact that he studied, so I looked this up, he studied physiology and I think another science subject, but he was really there, I guess, as a sports player. And I made a joke that he should have studied geology because he's The Rock. And he ended up retweeting it, which was huge. Like, it was, I remember when that happened, because we were trying to put together a table, and we just moved house and we were trying to put together a table. And I said that we had to stop to my husband, and he was like, why? And I was like, because The Rock retweeted me. And he went, okay, that's a good reason to stop. Anyway, that's quite a long story to get into. So somebody who worked for New Scientist, they were looking for a cartoonist, and she's Irish, and somebody from SFI who she's friends with suggested me. So that's how it happened. It is sometimes about connection and doing the jobs and stuff. And I can't lie, when they asked me to do it, my first reaction was, I'm not good enough. And my husband said something that's very, you know, it's very affecting, and I think it's very true for a lot of people. He said, we need the money. So that's how I began up as a cartoonist for New Scientist. I've never been good with 5-year plans, and like I've talked to people about this, and I don't know if it's because, so like when I was 15, well, actually 14. So when I was like that, 14, 15, I had cancer. I had stage 3 malignant melanoma. And at that stage, they were like, your 5-year plan is to be alive. And then it was your 10-year plan is to be alive. And I don't know if that broke something in me, that I'm pretty much just somebody who's hoping to get through the next few months or the next few years. Also, the fact that I've been postdocing for like such a long time, and that your contracts, I've never had a permanent contract. It's been like 3 years, like 1 year. So to ask where I'd be in 5 years is like, genuinely, I don't know. I'm on a contract that's 3 years. So but what I can say is that at the moment, I need 2 jobs. I don't do the cartooning full time because it doesn't pay enough. Also, it's very hard to be creative when there's a lot of money or pressure involved. Like, if somebody says draw whatever you like for whatever money, you'll do whatever you like. But if somebody's like, you need to draw this for X amount of money or for this amount of time, like I like having that second job, but it can't be my primary because, 1, it doesn't pay enough, and 2, it's creatively quite crushing for it to be your primary work. Sorry if I'm killing anyone's dreams out there, but here we are. So there's this cartoon that has done the rounds. Like, I don't have many that have gone everywhere, but like, this is one that's done the rounds, and it's one that is it's some people think that scientists say eureka, and then like underneath it is a collection of basically scientists swearing. So it says they're more likely to say, and it's like words I'm not going to say out loud, and it's better if you actually read them on the text, because I don't think RCSI want me actively swearing here. This is how you get fired. But one of the reasons I like it is that it's a cartoon that came from something like personal, like that thing that I said, that sometimes I take pain or things in my life and I translate them into comedy because it gives me a bit of control. This cartoon came out of, I was in a previous job. I had done like a long study, like over a year. It was one of the projects that I was involved in, and we were getting to the point of writing it up to publish it. And as I was writing it up, I realized that there was a fundamental flaw and we couldn't publish it. And I was just so frustrated that I ended up drawing this cartoon. And the first person, the redhead person, is me in it. That's me. And I drew this that night, and it did really well, and people have sent me pictures of that in labs across the world. It's like one of these things that appears in labs, which is nice because I used to put up cartoons from PhD comics when I was in the lab. So that's the first one. You can buy posters and prints of that on my website. So the second one that I will talk about, so it's not a science one. I'm going to talk about one that is how to respond to the question, are they twins? So this is a cartoon, and it's a number of people, this is like a thing with twins that you get asked, or I was told this. So I drew this when I was pregnant. I drew this when I was, I think I was like 34 weeks pregnant. So like I was massive, and I'd gone to a wedding and I brought my tablet with me, and this was like a conversation on a forum that I was part of. And I was like, oh, I can make a cartoon about this. So the cartoons are about responses that you give to are they twins? And it became like this big thing, and it's like one of these things that I've seen in a lot of places. And one of the reasons that I'm including it is after, so I was approached to the point by a literary agent. I have an agent, and she said, you have quite a good following. What do you want to write a book? And she said, what do you want the book to be about? And I said, I want to write a book because money. No, I'm kidding. But I said, can I do it about being a parent? And I had like these cartoons like this one and a few other ones, but like what I quite like is that the book that I ended up writing had extracts from so I kept a diary when I was pregnant. So I have identical twin girls. I kept a diary of the year that I was pregnant. So not the year I was pregnant, it's like an elephant gestation, isn't it? No, it was like normal pregnancy ish. And afterwards I wrote a diary up to year one. So it's like, it's not every day, it's like a few extracts. So the book ended up being this diary that I wrote and these cartoons. So like the diary contains things about like my observations on being a parent at the time, because I found it all very, very confusing. And I also had postnatal depression. So I wrote about that as I was going through it and getting treatment for it. So for me, this cartoon represents my, I guess, journey into parenthood, and also something that ended up being in like a book that I'm really, really proud of. And a lot of people have approached me saying that they also really like it. So it's good. Okay, I'll go to the third one. So the third one that so I have a lot of cartoons. Like I definitely have maybe I've over 1,000, like maybe 2,000 at this stage. Like I've been doing this I'm whatever that word is where you do things a lot. I can't remember. Oh, I can't remember. Why do I write cartoons? Anyway, I do things a lot. Please edit that out. This is terrible. I keep thinking like the word gregarious, and that's not it. Prolific. That's it. So I am a prolific cartoonist. I just draw. I draw a lot, not necessarily because I want to, but I don't. I just draw a lot. So the New Scientist thing has been brilliant, and so I've done a selection of cartoons. So the one that I'm showing is it's a cartoon it's a conversation between two people. So it's like, this bacteria is resistant to most antibiotics, and it's like, what's it sensitive to? Vancomycin and criticism. So vancomycin is an antibiotic. So the reason I'm including this is that I drew my boss, Professor Hilary Humphreys, as the microbiologist, and I gave him a copy of this, and he's retiring. So it's like, so that's why I'd like to mention this, because he's been like a fantastic boss, and it was like nice to draw him. And he has been incredibly supportive of the fact that I have this other thing going on, and it was never a source of shame. It was something that it was the source of pride for the department that I was a cartoonist. So that's why I'd like to show this, because he and the microbiology department in RCSI have been incredibly brilliant people to work with and people to work for.